have written this, Travis? Some fantastic, columnist in a San Diego paper writes, propagandists have always known that words have power and that owning their definition limits your opponent's options. Rush Limbaugh rebranded the word liberal, such as it connotes weak-kneed Poindexters who do nothing but promote communism. Nice touch. But it's nearly impossible to rebrand co-opted words. The left abandoned liberal in favor of progressive. Not a fan of smart, accomplished women, they terrified Limbaugh. He famously branded them feminazis. His go-to move with powerful women was to objectify them. In dismissing successful liberal talk show host Stephanie Miller, who is both smart and powerful, he never mentioned her without reminding the audience that while misguided, she is a babe. Who said that?
That would be Clark Kent.
No, but that was close. No, Jon Sinton, one of the original founders of Air America and ProgressiveVoices.com, who knows a thing or two about a thing or two. Good morning, Jon Sinton. We can't hear you. Yes, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Oh,
yes.
Even better. Even better. You'll like me better when you can hear me. I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Well, listen, I told you after 2 years of being single in COVID lockdown, just the fact reminding me that a gross, dead, fat guy thought I was hot was really the best I could do, and I was very excited.
It hardly gets better.
Stephanie Miller who is a babe, by the way. I must point this out.
Okay. I don't think he said misguided. I think he just said babe. So you know what? I'm going to take that a gross, dead, fat guy thought I was hot. John, that's all I have. Keep me warm at night. But, you raise a great point. I mean, it goes to the point that Adam Kinzinger just made yesterday, doesn't it? About what
it does.
Right-wing radio has done to America, which is what, when you founded Air America and Progressive Voices, by the way, the app that we are on right now, the
Stephanie Miller
show, yes, on your iPhone, because you've tried to keep Progressive Voices out there in your capacity for years now.
Sure. And, I've done what I can. And our friends like Rachel Maddow and Al Franken, they've Mark Maron, they've done what they can. But we are I just hate to say it, we're the 90-pound soaking wet weakling, and then there's Roger Ailes, and what the hate industrial complex, to borrow a phrase, it's the Republicans, it's right-wing talk radio, it's Fox News, it's OAN, it's Newsmax. What all of that together has meant is that we've been rebranded, and they're on lap 7, and we're trying to figure out which shoes to put on.
Yeah, I have never. Have you seen us this split, where there is not one set of facts at all?
Certainly not in our lifetime, and I write about this a lot. That up until about 1986, we operated from the same set of facts because we had mass media. The fragmentation that's ensued, and now that we don't have any mass media outlets, has allowed them to change the course of the country, not for the better. And I think that you and I have been talking about this for 15 years.
Yeah.
This to me is the culmination of everything that they've tried to do for all this time, and it's finally happening, and it's really frightening. And so you think about, what are the things that we could do to maybe rein them in? And I don't know, Chris or Travis or somebody a little while ago said, well, maybe Kinzinger and Cheney will replace Manchin and Sinema and give us the votes that we need to rework the filibuster rules, because, if we don't do that, we are going.
Travis and Chris are hired entirely for their looks, and they don't realize that they are House members and not senators, and they cannot help us on voting rights. But they're pretty, and that's the important thing.
That is the important thing.
Mama needs at least some beefcakes.
Especially in radio.
Yeah.
We're all radio professionals now.
Yes.
There will be no Senate Republicans. I don't think you're going to see Manchin and Sinema change their minds. And I think that you will see what Georgia and Arizona have done will be the archetypes for the other Republican-led legislatures. And, an organization that I was involved with for a number of years, Common Cause, has sued in Georgia and is trying their best, but again, one hand tied behind their weakling back, to stop this rampant rush to change our voting laws. And Steph, it's not so much who can vote or where you can vote or where the drop boxes are, and all that's important, but people, in my experience, will find a way to vote. What we can't account for is, what if state legislatures decide, nah, you know what, I don't like the outcome of that, and so I'm going to overrule. And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They just tried to do it.
All they have to do is
foreshadowed.
say there was fraud with no proof, just
Yep.
like, as is happening now. I mean, speaking of a uniquely dangerous time, the Department of Homeland Security, obviously warned the January 6th anniversary could be a violent one, but they said they're basically operating under a heightened level of vigilance in general. They said we are at a heightened level of threat. The threat of domestic violent extremists is a very great one. Many supporters of Trump have shifted to threatening, as you just mentioned, local officials, like those handling elections and local Republican parties. They also said, additionally, China, Iran, and Russia have amplified content regarding the Capitol breach and the upcoming anniversary and continue to spread the narrative about U.S. election fraud. Some Russian news media outlets have amplified content about upcoming events by the current and former president for the anniversary. I mean, don't you feel like we're just... It's this acid flashback to 2016. You're like, oh, Russia again is back.
Groundhog Day.
Right?
It's
to
Groundhog
continue
Day.
this lunacy and chaos in the United States.
Well, I'm here to tell you the only way to stop all of this is to change the filibuster for the 161st time. Of course, that's one of the great myths about the filibuster, is that it's inviolable and it was written into the Constitution. It was none of those things.
Right.
It came along 16 years after we became a country, and almost 300 years later, with some mutual friends of ours, I've started a super PAC, a nonprofit that's called LetMajorityRule.org. And I'm going to encourage all of our viewers and listeners to go there. We have to change the filibuster or we are screwed.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have linked to it at our website and Facebook page, correct? Mm-hmm. John, the other thing that Adam Kinzinger said, besides talking about the GOP has become victimized by profit-driven radio shows have helped turn the GOP into a victimized group of people. He also said the turning point he thought in all this was Kevin McCarthy meeting with Trump and resurrected Trump back to life. I mean, that is what's pathetic, is January 7th, McCarthy, McConnell, all of them said the right thing. This was a fair election. Donald Trump is responsible for this, and again, it's the gaslighting that right-wing radio and Fox News allows to happen about COVID, about January 6th, about the election, right?
That's exactly right. By January 8th, they're talking fast and walking backwards, and McCarthy is on an airplane down to West Palm because he's going to go to Mar-a-Lago and he's going to secure his speakership. And so you have a bunch of unscrupulous cats who have decided that their gig is worth more than the country. The party is worth more than the country. And so McConnell says all the right things, but won't cast the right vote. And McCarthy says all the right things and screams at Trump on the telephone while it's all happening. And 2 days later is kissing his ring. What do you do about people like this, Steph?
Yeah, and here is Kevin McCarthy. Right?
Well, the very sad part, the Democrats are in the majority. And when you think about this, coming up this month will be the one year anniversary of one-party rule. And what do we have? Crippled economy. And the Democrats' number one focus is still exactly where they've always been, H.R. 1, to change the election laws, to rig an election to give them an ability to win when they should not.
Oh, my God, right?
Okay, quit. Projection or confession?
Yes, exactly. I mean, he's so pathetic what he said on January 7th last year. Ted Cruz, they're all spineless, pathetic cowards. I mean, it's
incredible. And they employed this same tactic and they have for 5 years. I've never seen anything like this.
Right.
No,
Kevin McCarthy, and get your reaction on the other side.
Sure.
Now, we've been able to stop that. It's over in the Senate, but you watched what they did last week when we were out. Tried to politicize January 6th, and everybody believes what happened on January 6th was wrong beyond wrong.
Really? Huh? Because January 7th, Kevin McCarthy did, but suck up to Trump at Mar-a-Lago, Kevin McCarthy didn't think so.
He apparently believed that for about 48 hours.
Yeah.
And until a campaign manager and some really big funders said to him, hey, don't get on the wrong side of this guy. We need you to be the speaker. And isn't that what you've always wanted after all?
Yeah. But what do we do about 6% of Republicans thinking that Joe Biden was elected legitimately? I mean, I've just never seen it this bad.
No, and it's never been this bad. This again is the fragmentation of media and all of us singing from different hymnals. Not so much all of us, but they've created this their own reality. And frankly, I think it begins with changing the filibuster, because if we don't, you know what's going to happen is we will have permanent minority rule, and that's what they're after. We will have permanent minority rule based on the gerrymandering that's being done on the 2020 census. And we will have permanent minority rule until, well, at least for the next decade. And, you know, frankly, Steph, how long can we last? How long can we last under their unilateral?
Listen, I only get to keep going because of my Patreon supporters in this leaky little rat trap that I broadcast from. I mean, ever since you founded Air America, which I was never on, I was blackballed from, but let's not bring that up. But you put me on progressivevoices.com, and that's very exciting. But we've all had to do what we've had to do to survive in this environment, because you're right. I don't know to this day, John, why Democrats in general don't get it and support progressive media like they support these zillions of right-wing propaganda stations, because we've all been able to, you know, me and Thom Hartmann and people I think that are great broadcasters have been able to cobble together a living, you know, between Sirius XM and Free Speech TV, Randy Rhodes, all of us have, you know, somehow. And again, it's only because of the loyalty of our listeners that you know, we're still here. But you're right. It is really it is tough to fight against 500 stations that all these right-wingers have.
And as long as they can change election laws to the extent that they always win. You know, Steph, I'll inverse it. Only 14% of congressional seats are competitive. Only 14% of those races are competitive. 86% of congressional races are a fait accompli. It's already decided. And if we don't intervene immediately, we're done for at least a decade until the next census. You know what this is demographic destiny. They can't stand the fact that America has powerful women, and soon we'll have more minorities, black and brown people, than white people, and they are going to hold their they're going to hold strong against this demographic rush as long as they can. I thought it was going to be a nice little death rattle and then we'd get back to normal. And man, they have pulled some rabbits out of their hats.
It is letmajorityrule.org. And of course on the Progressive Voices app, which the Stephanie Miller Show and other fine progressive programming is on. I've only ever disagreed with you about one thing, and it is fine with me if Rush or anybody else wants to objectify me. My self-esteem is desperately in need of it.
Also, John's blog.
Yes, is also fantastic. We've linked to all of it. John, so good to see you. It's been too long.
What a pleasure, Stephanie. Nice to see all of you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other article where you want to objectify me, I am all for. Thank you so much.
I will keep that in mind.
Desperately need it for my self-esteem. Thank you. Goodbye.